This Week in 40K.
Welcome to This Week in 40K, your show about the grimdark that's neither grim nor dark. Here's everything you need to know about the last week in 40K in 1 hour. How's that, Billy? Energy?
That is a just admirable and aspirational level of hype.
Yes, sometimes you have to fake it till you make it, and 7:01 a.m. is often that time.
That's fair. That's why I always have coffee with me. And normally I have equal levels of hype for the game. I think we're going to be talking about the penumbra of 40K this week more than the core competitive gameplay.
It's true. Hey guys, I have some news for all of you. Competitive 40K's meta is broken. I know that this might be new information for some of you, but it is in fact what's happening, and GW has acknowledged it. So we're going to talk about that in the news. And then the tournaments from this week are a mixture of both tiny and insignificant and uninteresting. It's kind of all the things. GW has basically let us know that things are not okay and they're going to get fixed in the second week of September. It's the last couple days of August. We're getting down to it.
Yeah. Last week, I had a stat that of the 28 lists I could have talked about, 13 of them were Eldari. There was a similar situation this week.
Yeah, and I actually think GSC is just as strong, as we've talked about. But the problem is that like half of the 40K community owns an Eldar army. Mm-hmm. That's really what the problem is. So we've got this mixture of what's good and what's popular at the same time, which is just problematic. Orc buggies were like that, right? People have orc armies all over the place, and the orc buggy army wasn't that many models. And so we went from like, oh, look, orc buggies are good, to like 2 tournaments later, it's like, oh, look, the entire tournament is orc buggies. So it happens. Anyways, he's Billy and I'm Colin. We didn't do that part.
Yes, no. And life, Colin, how is your life? You were in Texas.
I was in Texas. It was 115 degrees, which is like 46 for our Celsius friends.
Yeah, it's an unreasonable amount of degrees.
It is. And I had to spend time outside, and I was drinking when I spent that time outside, and I basically made myself sick for like 2 days. So made some bad decisions. Really good trip, though. Really good food. Lots of fun things. Got to go to Topgolf. I always enjoy Topgolf. So it was fun. Yeah, it was a good trip. My focus for the next 14 days is Charity Hammer. 16 days. The next 16 days. There's a lot to be done to make sure that this is the best one we've done so far. So lots is going to be coming out on that. We're going to spend a reasonable amount of time today getting you guys hyped for Charity Hammer. Lots of things have been decided, so we can start announcing things. Again, 16 days. Also, it's important to note that it looks like yet again Charity Hammer will hit us on the week of a massive game change. So that's always fun. You get to see some of the best players there are scramble to change their lists. And then we are going to be the very first place for you to see the new meta, whatever it looks like. Hopefully it has Eldar and Chinchilla Cult in the penalty box.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start up with our top story. Here we go.
Our top story.
We are literally a week and a half from football season. Sorry, that's not our top story. It's just something that is very exciting. Also, the Mariners are basically winning every single baseball game right now for the past month, and have gone from 8 games behind in the division to being in the head of the division. So lots of exciting for sports things are happening.
I did see that this was the latest in the season the Mariners have been in sole ownership of first place in an amount of time that was worth someone tweeting about.
Yeah, see, the thing about the Mariners is they've been bad most of their franchise history, and so it's very easy to set records, which is exciting.
That's
anywho. Anywho, what's the actual top story, Billy?
Give you a dealer's choice. I had Nova, but we can just do a general Charity Hammer segment later, and that should be its own thing.
That's fine. But you think that the Nova in the current meta is more interesting than GW's Meta Watch announcement or the pre-release announcement for Tyranids?
Well, the Meta Watch was 2 weeks ago, so we covered.
No, it wasn't. Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Well, I wasn't on last week's show, so
Tyranids, sure. The amount of announcement for Tyranids, I think they had announced all of it already. Basically, we got 3 sentences on this was going to be in the what's new, but we can do that first too, because to your point, Nova's kind of blocked. The reason I want to talk about Nova is there is apparently a giant preview in tomorrow afternoon, evening.
Okay, great.
And that hopefully has a lot of the information that we're looking for to get us to the next step of 10th edition, which I think all of us are eagerly anticipating. On the NIDS front, we know that there are going to be 6 detachments that all follow the same format as the indices. We know the names of most of them. We know one of them focuses on big bugs. We know one of them gives you advance and charge if you're the right kind of stuff. One of them is swarmy. One of them is brainy. One of them is the index one. And what's the 6th one?
I don't know.
There's a 6th one. We've seen all of the new miniatures, we think. They are absolutely gorgeous.
Accurate.
Quite frankly, I think the best miniatures that GW has put out for 40K. And I'm not a huge NIDS fan, but I just think the quality of it has been seriously raised, and that leaves me hopeful for what the rest of the 10th edition glow-ups are going to look like. That said, the actual information density of the article yesterday on NIDS, I would argue, was relatively low.
Yeah,
and then there was a delightful puff piece this morning about inside the Codex with the writers of the Codex. The writers of the Codex were very excited about Crusade and Combat Patrol, which felt to me like someone in the marketing department wanted to remind people who read Warhammer Community that Crusade and Combat Patrol are things that you can spend your money on.
Yeah. They exist, it turns out.
Yes. In my ideal world, where whenever that lotto breaks $2 billion and I win it and I end up with a lump sum in the high 9 figures, and buy a game store and have all the time in the world, I would run a crusade, like just ongoing crusade for people.
But only if that specific set of things happens.
I need that level of free time to run a crusade, because otherwise there are just more interesting things for me personally in the realm of 40K.
And soon to be football.
Well, yes, other big news. If you are a listener of the show and in our Discord and have any interest in fantasy football, hit me up. We need more people for the league. I will be a little bit annoying in the Discord for the next few days to wrangle up the 2 to 6 people necessary in order to make an appropriately sized league.
It's true. So go ahead and tell us about Nova.
So Nova is giant tournament, Washington, D.C. It's really, if you like GW tournaments, you're going to like Nova tournaments, because the GW format is basically the Nova format that's been slightly tweaked and evolved to match some references from GW, but was, the brainchild of Mike Brandt, and if I may say so myself, a very, very, very long time ago. Little known fact, I did the incorporating documents on Nova charity before I went to law school. It is a 3-day event. It's a giant convention. It's always very well run. It's a lot of fun. If you live along the Eastern Seaboard, it is an event that you should try to go to. Aspirationally, I think I might try to go next year when I don't have a 5-month-old, but instead have a 17-month-old. And there's going to be
maybe a pregnant wife, so you can have the second kid, right?
Yes, but she'd be in like the first trimester, and maybe we would do a whole trip, because it's there in a nice hotel, and there's the entire Washington, D.C. that you can send friends and family out to explore. D.C. is a great town for tourists for like 2 to 3 days. Very walkable, very public transitable, tons of free stuff to do. And by early September, it's still an absolute swampy mess with a very small chance of hurricanes. But the preview that's coming, it will be tomorrow evening, and I would anticipate we'll probably get a little bit more Tyranids, and I think we'll see some of Marines, is my guess.
I don't think there's anything for us to tell them about. I don't think there's anything for them to tell us about Tyranids.
How much of the book do you think they're going to talk about before Saturday?
None.
None? Then I think it's got to be Marines, which is a real step on NIDS. But, whatever. Their bugs get stepped on.
Yeah, right? Okay, so I've been to Nova. Mm-hmm. Won my bracket, in fact. I really liked it. I think it's an incredibly well-run show. It's got a tremendous attachment to charity.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, something that the Charity Hammer folks care a lot about. So, yeah, I think it's a really well-run show. My disappointment about it this year is that the game's meta is just a mess.
Yeah.
And so it's not going to be as meaningful as it's been in the past. We're not going to see, the level of list innovation that we probably would like to see. So that's kind of too bad. That said, Nova's still amazing, and we'll absolutely be covering it next week. So, All right. Shall we continue on?
Let us.
All right. My mom always used to say growing up, let us. No, we cantaloupe.
Okay. I do always try to say it as the vegetable, not as the two-word, verb.
Hank always says, do let's, which I also enjoy. Shall we do this? Do let's.
What's new?
What's new, Billy? Whoa, whoa,
we sort of stepped on it. NIDS.
What's new, Billy Cat? Whoa, whoa, whoa. There you go. No?
There are going to be bugs. I was laughing.
Okay. Should I have called you? I could have said Billy Goat instead of Billy Cat.
Billy Goat was a thing. It really kind of died out in the late 90s, early 2000s around me. No one's called me in a long time. I'm open-minded. Yeah, so NIDS, we are going to know everything there is to know about NIDS when the NDAs lift Saturday morning. It's Saturday morning U.S. time. Your time zones may vary. I am excited to see what they do with it. It sounds like they have, at least from the types of detachments they've talked about, it sounds like they've covered most of their bases of types of NID armies people want to run. And that there is going to be support for that. The devil is obviously always in the details. Personally, I hope that the new Norn miniatures are, one of the best in the book because I want to see them on the table because they look freaking amazing.
Yeah, it is really cool, and I hope that it's quite good. We don't know a lot, right, about the NIDS book. How they are going to handle this is super interesting. I think that we're going to learn a lot this weekend. Is it a big thing? Is it a small thing? It could be as simple as we've updated the data sheets a little bit, and here's 6 detachments. But what I care about more almost than the amount of change, which there might not be much because they literally just wrote these rules.
Right.
I think that what I care about the most is I want multiple viable ways to play Tyranids.
Yes.
I think that's the key. If they do this 6 detachment system and there's one that's always too powerful, then we're only ever going to see that one. And it's not actually going to matter that there's 5 others. And I don't want that. So at the very least, we should have Hordes and Crusher be different from each other. Right? So we'll see. We'll see. Do we have anything else for what's new, or should we talk Charity Hammer?
There's nothing else new. Let's talk Charity Hammer.
Vamp for just, I'm going to say vape for just a moment. But no, vamp for just a moment.
Then the thing that I just want to echo what Colin said about multiple viable options, because as someone who every week goes through all of the winning lists and sees what they are, I think the indices absent Eldar are actually relatively good. The problem is there's not that many ways to do it. There is basically a 85% solved list for every single faction, and then it's pick your last 300 points that you want to do something different with. And I hope that we get some level of variation as we move forward. And to be clear, for indices to have a viable build for almost every faction is a success. Like, that is good.
But they don't.
What?
But that's not real. There's a number of armies that do not have a viable detachment.
but it's not as many as it could be given the complete rewrite of the rules. Their hit rate on
I would say that 80% of the indexes are okay. Maybe
right.
85%.
And I think that I would not have guessed that going into 10th. I would have guessed that most of them would have been much closer to dumpster fire than, okay, this is a viable rule set. The problem is on the outer edges where we have the most broken thing since I've been paying attention to the game, and the most non-functional things since I've been paying attention to the game.
Fair. All right, guys, we're 16 days from Charity Hammer. For those that have been unaware of us in the past, Charity Hammer is a 72-hour, it's actually like a 74-hour. Yeah, 74-hour nonstop charity event that I run out of the Pacific Northwest. Some of the best players in the world travel to Seattle. We stream 3 streams over the course of those 3 days. And it's all to raise money for Child's Play, which is a charity that focuses on children's hospitals and domestic violence shelters. Child's Play is an amazing charity. Over the past 4 years, we've raised over $100,000 for them. Extremely, extremely proud of that. I think that that's an incredible amount of money, and it's because this community cares, and that matters to me a lot. I've also told people that if I stop playing 40K, this is a thing I'll continue doing. I think that it's just an incredibly important thing that I think epitomizes the vibe we have here at Best in Tabletop. You know, we are not the best. We are not the most popular network of 40K shows. Probably Art of War. We're not the second most popular. Maybe Tabletop Titans. Right? We're not those people. What we are is people that care deeply for the game and want to be positive and uplifting and be the good people network. Not that the people at Art of War aren't good people. I know that they are. It's not an outward focus that they talk about, and it is here. So part of that is that we play an expensive hobby. And yet we are eager to complain when GW wants $5 a month from us. and that's just kind of the vibe. But at the same time, when I think we look at ourselves internally, I'll speak for all 40K gamers here because obviously I'm an expert. No, I'll just speak for me. When I think about 40K and I think about the charity that we do, I feel like a 12-year-old inside of me. Like there's a number of things like the tanks in 40K, the planes in 40K, like there's a lot of things that appeal to that kid that never grew up, right? That I think everybody has inside of them. Mm-hmm. And I was so fortunate, and I still am, to be able to even afford this hobby. That to me, it's really, really important to take the amount of fortune that I've received in my life and not only share it back, but also demonstrate to others that we should be doing the same thing. So that we all should be doing that. So Charity Hammer is an incredibly important thing. It's also incredibly fun. And this year, we've really ramped up the fun. I've talked a little bit about the fact that in past years, we got away from the kind of 40K slumber party vibe that everybody liked, where people are in and out of the different streams and you can follow along and you kind of know what's happening. And they've pivoted to we pivoted to kind of a higher production value thing, which worked great until the production value part of it broke last year. So really focused on that vibe. Let me talk you guys through a little bit about Charity Hammer. First of all, there's tons of prizes. You can donate at the Tiltify link that will be in the comments of this YouTube. Every $30 you donate gets you into a raffle. The raffle is drawn over the course of the weekend. At least one thing is given out in every single 3-hour game time slot from Thursday to Friday. And then from Thursday to Sunday, excuse me. And then on Sunday, we're going to give away 2 beautifully painted, amazingly painted 40K armies. A Custodes army and a Space Marine army. And then if we raise $40,001, then we will also raffle off a beautiful, entirely Kipash Necron army. So 3 beautifully painted, guys, what I'm saying, I'm not saying YouTube Pro painted. I'm saying award-winning painters from 40K. These are armies that you could win best painted in your local meta. Okay. If that's what you're into, which maybe you are. So that's what the raffle part is about. There's also a number of fun events happening. First of all, the Tyranid Codex is coming out, Billy, and it's going to be out before Charity Hammer. Indeed. I should really go back in time and get the best Tyranid players I can to the event. Oh, wait, we always have the best Tyranid players that we can find.
You didn't develop time travel? Damn, that would have been the top story.
Yes, on a bigger show than this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, continue.
Someone says, didn't the Necron army literally win best painted? It might have.
All of these are jaw-droppingly gorgeous.
Yes, and there will be pictures that will be posted.
Yeah.
So, first of all, we're having the Hive Mind battle. And what that is Tyler Bortel, Alex McDougall, Matt Evans, and John Lennon in a 2-round single elimination, all Tyranid matchup. They play Tyranids into each other. The winners will go on to the final round, and then they'll play each other, and we'll have bragging rights. John won last year, barely edging out Alex McDougall. For those that don't know, those 4 people, Evans, Bortel, Lennon, and McDougall, are all of them incredibly accomplished Tyranids players. Yeah. Many Tyranids tournaments between that group. So it'll be really fun to see their initial take of the army. Tank of the army would be different. So that'll be really fun. So we're going to do that. Another thing we're going to do, and this is going to be on the first night on Thursday, I have challenged the Biff Pod TNG guys. I am calling them out. All 3 of them went to Europe to support WTC, and Lucas played on the team. This is an amount of success that we cannot tolerate without some level of smack talk. So we're going to do 1 round of a team tournament. We've done this in the past, and it's incredibly fun. So I'm coaching 1 team and playing, and my team is the Biff Pod Best Infection OG team. I have a Chuck, I have a Hank, so it's the 3 of us. And I've challenged the Biff Pod TNG guys, and their team starts with Tyler, Lucas, and Naj. The rest of the teams will be us drafting back and forth 5 people for each of us for our team. Mm-hmm. Once we have our team of 8 people, we're going to secretly and privately develop 8 lists. Then at Charity Hammer, we will go on camera and we will be handed the other team's lists for the first time. Mm-hmm. And we will get to review them, and we will get to pair, and then pair into them. And then you'll get to see the process of the 2 team captains doing the 8x8 pairing. It'll be an incredibly deep look into how this works. And then we'll get to see which team wins. Now, in accomplishment, my team is a little low compared to their team currently. However, I have the first draft pick. And I will say right now, unlike what the NFL always does, that I'm taking John Lennon with my first draft pick. Because he has actually done an 8v8 tournament before, and I have not. And so that helps my confidence greatly in this competition. So I talked smack, and I called them out, and then immediately grabbed the best player at the event. That's just how I do. So that's going to happen as well. Finally is the big event that everybody cares the most about. And it's basically, we used to call it the hardest ever GT. Because of what's happening in the world with 40K and how big it's exploding, it's not the hardest ever anymore. It's just not. And it won't ever be again. And that's okay. Instead, it's the best people tournament. You will not find a GT anywhere with a better group of people than we have at this event. And when I say best, I mean the combination, the intersection of player skill and awesomeness. Like, these are people that you would love to play 40K against, that are interesting and helpful and chatty and all the things. Okay. So what we've done is we've seeded them based on ELO. For those that don't know, ELO is a concept of every time you play a game of 40K, you have a score that goes up or down based on what happened. If you win, it goes up. If you lose, it goes down. If you beat somebody that's significantly better than you, you gain more points. If you lose to someone significantly worse than you, you lose more points. So ELO is a good way to handle the seeding because ITC rank is so imperfect. ITC, someone may not have enough events, right? 10th edition just started, so I want to go back through 9th edition, right? So we want more data than that. So we used ELO. It's not perfect. However, I'm very pleased with the seeding for the most part. And what's going to happen is it's 32 people, and the top 16 will play the bottom 16. One will play 32, two will play 31, like March Madness, right? The 16 people that lose in the first round will then be dropped into their own single elimination tournament. So the 16 people that win the first round will continue on to see who is the best at Charity Hammer. And the 16 people that lose in that first round will be put into the losers tournament to see who's the best loser. So that's what's happening there. What we're going to do now is I'm going to tell you the top 10 seeded people for Charity Hammer. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I didn't actually number 7, 8, 9, 10. At 10, we have the Mad Orc himself, a member of Team USA who played at Team USA for Team USA to get second place and dominated everybody that he came up against. Our very lovable orc, Lucas Troller. Number 9.
If I may, really quickly, the largest failing in the ELO rankings is Lucas at 10 because he is better than the 10th person at this event.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Yeah. Number 9, the runner-up at GW's Tacoma Open, the winner of many tournaments and crusher of RTTs all across Western Washington, our friend and member of Best in Tabletop, the always interesting Hank Adams. At number 8, we have the East Coast sensation, young and newer to the competitive scene. Jamie Beaton is a person that I haven't met and don't know a particularly large amount about, but it's been promised to me that he is both great and an amazing personality, and I'm excited to meet him. Number 8, also from Best in Faction, The Next Generation, also a member of TNG, also the winner of the over 100-person Slaneshmas event last December. Nicholas Olsen Johnson, I call him Naj because it's fun to say. Right above him is a little bit of surprise. However, as you look at what he's accomplished in the past year, it is not surprising anymore. It is our friend and maybe the best human on the list, Noah Badome. Noah is the owner of Aegis Games, which some of you know the story about that star-changing ownership. Noah has been repping Knights like nobody's business, and he's been wrecking people with them. He's been doing extremely well, including beating Tyler Bortel, who is higher on this list than him, including beating Tyler Bortel at the Tacoma Open. So really happy to see Noah up there. Also, for those that are fans of the show, of the network, Noah is also the host, one of the 2 hosts of the Best Overall show.
Yeah. And if this GT did a best overall, Noah would be my odds-on favorite to win because his hobbying is spectacular.
We are doing best overall.
Then Noah is my pick to win best overall.
Not only are we doing best overall, but we're also doing best general. So, and best painted. We're doing all 3 of them.
Okay.
Yeah. So next up in number 5 is my pick for the best Canadian that plays 40K, and I don't care what you say because it's my friend and one of my favorite people that I've met through 40K, Alex McDougall. Accomplished Tyranid and GSC player, Alex has decided that the way he'll play 40K is just to simply never lose games.
It's useful.
Yeah. Number 4, the showrunner of Biff Pod TNG and also a member of Team USA, Tyler Bortel, also at the geometry mastermind of the triangle problem. Number 3 is the currently by far most successful Washington-based, actually he might live in Oregon, but Western Pacific Northwest tournament goer, Steve Trimble. Steve wins a lot. Steve wins so much that until 2 years ago, I said I had won the most events in Washington State. I might still have. I don't know though. Steve's coming. If I still have that record, Steve is coming up fast on that record. He is an incredible player. He's a younger guy who's really come into his own in the last few years as a really wonderful advocate for the game and has become a pretty fun opponent. So my favorite thing about Steve's playstyle is you always know what you're going to get with Steve. He's going to play something incredibly violent. He's going to put it on the board edge, and he's going to run at you. Number 2 is the Boy King Eternal, John Lennon, winner of the last 2 Charity Hammer GTs, member of Team USA for several years in a row, including being on Team USA when they won the WTC. John is by far one of the best ambassadors for 40K you can find. John is incredibly good, and yet will not win any game at this event through a gotcha or through not being an amazing opponent. Watching John's games will be a joy, and if he makes it to the final, you'll have an incredible game like last year when he played Sisters of Battle versus Orcs for the final of the tournament. And he's been dethroned. He is not the first seed this year, and that's because of the absolute tear through the start of 10th edition that Ben Jurek has been on. So Ben Jurek has rocked the top seed for the event after winning many things and simply playing in a lot more 10th edition tournaments than John. So John gets dethroned. There's emphatic top tapping. Who's tapping? Am I tapping?
We'll deal with it in post, except we won't.
No, I just don't know.
I think both of us have a tendency to tap our desks, and it's
okay. I'm going to not do it anymore.
No, your point with Ben Jurek, you know how you said Alex McDougall has chosen to never lose games? Ben chose that in 10th. I don't think I've seen his results have a number in the dash. He
did the Tacoma Open, but yes, he's doing incredibly well. And again, another incredible person for the game. I met him at BAO 2018, 2017. Like, he's been around for a while. Really, really great human. Excited to spend some time with him. So that's the Charity Hammer GT. So what do you guys do? How do you participate, and how do you follow along? First of all, you can go to charityhammer.com. Second of all, we have opened, it's open right now, a Discord. This Discord will only be open for 3 weeks. It is free to all. You can come in. We're going to ask that you not be a D-bag, but that's all we're asking. You can come into the Discord, and in that Discord, you're going to get nonstop, real-time updates about Charity Hammer. When's the seeding go live? How do you bet on the bracket, which we'll talk about in a second because I totally forgot it. How do you, who's winning what games? How do the brackets look? What prizes have been given away? Who's watching? What they're talking about? All of that's going to be in a Discord, and that's going to be a better place for you than anywhere else to follow along because it's going to have organized. Here's the raffle winners. Here's the tournament outcomes. The idea of that Discord is for you to get to interact with us in more real time. The people at Charity Hammer are also going to be in that Discord, so you could tag them. If Tyler Bortel does something weird at the end of a game and loses, you can call him out and say, "Tyler, why'd you do this?" And he'll tell you. So this is going to be a great way to participate with Charity Hammer for all of you guys. Second of all, there will be a Facebook post, an event, to help you guys remember that this is happening, and it will link to that Discord. So that's how you know it's happening. We're going to have 3 streams. The first stream is going to be War Games Live. I hear that's a pretty good stream that people like. I hear that's the case. So we'll have just an amazing high production value stream for stream 1. Stream 2 is going to be on the Best in Tabletop network, which is what you're watching right now, or at least are aware of. And number 3 is a stream that will only be live at certain times. It's going to come and go throughout the weekend. And stream 3 is going to be on our Twitch, not on YouTube. And the idea of that is to get some Twitch people that we might not have gotten otherwise and maybe get them sent over to the YouTubes. And it's also just so we can control it. so that we can test it ahead of time and we can control it. I'm sure we'll be mirrored all the places we normally are, like Art of War. So those are the streams. What can you do? The first and most important thing that you can do is actually not donate. It's actually tell people. Mm-hmm. How many eyeballs we get on Charity Hammer is by far the most important metric for how much money we raise. If people don't hear about it and people don't know that it's happening, they don't donate. So I need you guys to tell people about it. As we start posting over the next few days, you'll see our posts on Facebook and such. Forward them out. Send them to people. Let everybody know what's happening. It's really important. The second thing that you can do is you can bet, or excuse me, you can gamble. No, that's not right either. You can donate. There you go. Every $30 that you donate to charity is going to get you a raffle ticket, which is technically gambling. However, it's legal gambling because we're going to give raffle tickets to people that didn't purchase, that didn't donate, and that makes it legal. Also, we're doing it through a literal charity. Anywho, you get raffle tickets for raffle prizes. You can start donating now. The first prizes will be drawn on the prep show that's a week before. So if you donate now, you'll have a better chance to win that than if you donate later. You also can buy a Charity Hammer t-shirt from bestedtabletop.com/store. They are incredibly comfortable. They are amazing material. You will enjoy that shirt. You will want to wear it. Yes. And let's see, what else can they do? We have a bracket like March Madness for the GT. A little bit problematic because I think we're going to be changing our GT list at the last possible minute. But when that bracket goes live, you will have time to predict who's going to win. The winner of that bracket will take home I can't remember which army it is now. I think it's the Custodes army.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, you win an entire army from getting the bracket correct. An entire painted army. So, pretty good, right?
Yes. As I'm sitting here next to my Custodes army that I'm in the process of painting, that would be a wonderful way to supplement.
Yeah. Also, the Custodes army is painted by Lou Rollins, and the hand detail, the hand like oh my gosh. Stuff. Yeah, the freehand stuff is just insane. So you can get a shirt. Remember though that the shirt only a piece of it goes to charity because we have costs on that. Mm-hmm. The donations 100% goes to charity. No, Child's Play doesn't take anything out. We don't take anything out. We just pass it right along. In fact, the Tiltify link that I'll post goes directly to them. The money doesn't even stop by and say hi to me on the way by. It goes straight to them. Yeah, so that's what's going on. Let's see if I have a date here. Tyler was just going to answer me. Tonight or Friday night, he says. Well, Friday night it is. So Friday night, this week at 6 p.m., we're going to do the draft for the team event, for the 8v8. It'll be on this YouTube. It'll be extremely fun. And then leading into the event, let me pull up StreamYard really quick. We have a primer episode of the show that is September 10th at 9 a.m. I think that is a Tuesday? No? Yes, Tuesday. So that's the This Week in 40K time slot, but we're going to do it a little later in the morning. Hopefully that works for Billy because he goes back to work the day after that, but we'll figure that out later. Mm-hmm. And that will be when we'll go through everything you need to know, everything that's happening. That'll be what that episode's about. We will not, until balance, be talking about the GTs, the tournaments from 40K in any sort of earnestness. The meta is simply not interesting. And frankly, we've got a week and a half before that, hopefully, and 2 weeks from Charity Hammer. So there's a lot going on for us to talk about. Okay, that's Charity Hammer for y'all. Lots more on that coming. Thank you for your patience, and I hope that you guys will get a chance to watch and support. We put it on because it's fun for you and for us. Any comments on Charity Hammer, Billy, after being to Charity Hammer?
Well, Charity Hammer was incredibly fun. You're telling me that last year's was the least enjoyable to be at, and I had an amazing time.
Yes,
I also had,
that's right.
It was a wonderful primer for me to have a newborn because I got no sleep at Charity Hammer, and I got no sleep with a newborn. One bit of live fact checking: September 10th is a Sunday, not a Monday or a Tuesday.
Oh, that's right. It's in the best in faction time slot. My mistake.
But
yes, that's fine though.
I am available if it is a this week episode. Yeah, Charity Hammer is great. Charity. I think Charity Hammer is what defines this network. And if you like any of the content that this network puts out, Charity Hammer is it turned up to 11 and wonderful. So to Colin's point, tell your friends, make this be bigger than you just listening to us.
Well, and all of our show hosts are going to be there.
Yeah. Well,
all the OG guys plus the occasional people for the show that we use all the time, John and Alex and Hank. And then all the TNG guys and both the guys from Best Overall, both Noah and Joe will also both be here. So that's everybody, guys. Like that's all of the on-air personalities. That's everybody. There's not anybody that I'm forgetting that wasn't able to come.
That's also visually apparent on the stream. Yes.
Yes. Billy's not coming. What Billy specifically said is that none of y'all matter anymore because I have a kid now. Is specifically what Billy said. So
yes. There was cursing along with that.
Yes, he told me that I'm fat, and he told me it was just it got personal very quickly, which I wasn't expecting.
Colin, you're a solid 6'3", 215 pounds, and we'll leave it at that.
215. Damn it! Where'd 50% of me go?
Some people get that joke, and we'll move on.
Yeah. Right? Okay. Here we go. What's winning?
What's winning?
Okay, folks. First of all, the largest event of the weekend was 49 players.
Yeah.
So, in case we were wondering why I'm not excited to talk tournaments, that's what's up. And here's the people that went. That is the All Stars Heat 4 in England, and it was won by Alex Petford with Eldari. Second place was John Swallow with Eldari. Third place was Matthew Langton with Tyranids. That's a list we'll actually look at. Oh wait, the Codex is about to come out. I will look at it though. Let's see. This is very clearly a Monster Mash list with zone throps and some bodies. Excellent. Good work, Matthew. And fourth place is David Irving with Thousand Suns, which we have seen are incredibly good on European terrain. He took 1 million rubrics. He took only one Mutaleth Vortex Beast, and I don't see Terminators.
Okay.
So that's interesting. And then fifth place is Eldari with Josh Roberts. So there you go. 49-player tournament with some incredibly great players. That's the outcome. Then there was a 48-player tournament in Carnage in Wellington, New Zealand. And it was called Carnage of the Cossie. I don't know what that means. And we will not be talking about any list because number 6 is Ryan Pike with Asuryani. Number 5 is Sean Sullivan with Necrons. Number 4 is Matt Van Wilczyk with Asuryani. Number 3 is Ben Clark with Eldari. Number 2 is Finn Decker with Eldari. And number 1 is Hayden Korach with Eldari. So for those that weren't paying attention, that tournament is Eldari, Custodes, Tyranids for the topic. Huzzah.
Yeah.
You have notes all the way down to 31 players here, Billy.
I have notes down to just events that are down to 31 players. Yeah, mostly because I can breeze right through it because a lot of them are Eldari, and I'm not going into the level of detail I normally would.
Okay.
We have 15 minutes. So there was the Wasteland Wars GT in Lubbock, Texas. This was 42 players, 5 rounds, and the top 4 did not have Eldari. Now the top 5 did, but the top 4 did not. So that's interesting. Matthew Gaddy in first place with Necrons. To the point we made earlier about how most of the indices have a solved list. The Necron solved list is 2 unkillable blocks, whether warriors or lich guard, and stuff around the periphery. Matthew did it with 2 lich guard units. Destroyers and Tomb Blades are his help, and there was 5 flayed ones in there because everyone loves a flayed one. Josh Archer, also Necrons, in second place for 0-1. Josh just took every named character he could. He had Imhotep, Nemesaur, and Oricon. And then it did actually 3 big bricks, one of which was 10 Immortals. I'm not sure if that's quite as survivable as the 20 Warriors or the 10 Lich Guard, but if your opponent is trying to chew through those 2 things, the 10 Immortals that also have a character and the Crypto Thralls in it is probably harder to kill than what they want to put into it. So good job on Josh going undefeated just with a tie. Then we have Patrick M., who does not like revealing their last name, but Patrick had Tau. Tau show up a little bit more than some of the naysayers would say. 1 big suit unit, 1 small suit unit, 2 ghost keels. I've been told the secret sauce of Tau is the Tetra, which is a Forge World unit that juices up the spotting and makes it work a lot better. So if you can get your hands on Tetras, apparently Tau work quite well. And then in 4th place, we have Derek Ramsey with GSC, and it's a GSC list that we have talked about a lot. So moving on. The Abyss Supernova from Montreal, Canada, 36 players, was won by Sebastian Geoffrion with Eldari. Samuel De La Ponte with Thousand Suns, same sort of a thing as what Colin said, not a lot of innovation, just available to Thousand Suns. That said, 3rd place, you got Frank Lorty, who brought Admech. Admech had been, prior to this, one of those absolute bottom performing factions. It's only a 36-player event, but let's take a look. Frank had 2 Dominus, an Engine Seer and a Manipulus, 2 10s of Vanguards, 1 Dune Rider, 18 Breachers, 2 Scorpius Disintegrators, and a Calidus Assassin, as my voice decides to go away. So, did it come back? A little bit. 18 Breachers broadly feels like a skew that probably caught the right set of matchups throughout the event. But that's always, something that you would look down and say, oh, do I have a solution to this in my army? And you might not. And then in 4th place, we have Maxime Rampen with Custodes. Custodes has all just sort of gravitated towards everybody's on foot. You have 2 6s of Wardens, some amount of Guard, some amount of Terminators, flavor your characters to taste, but 2 6s of Wardens seems stock across all Custodes. And then it's pick whether you can source exaction squads or you're going to use prosecutors as your dudes who are walking around scoring points. And that's what happens with Custodes. Part of the reason we went down to small events is there was this delightful Season of the WA GT in Durham, North Carolina, where 33 players in 5 rounds. And the top 6 is Eldari, 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 and Eldari. And when I was saying that this is the most skewed the top and the bottom of the meta have been since I've been paying attention to competitive 40K since the middle of 8th edition, this sort of a thing is why. There might have been armies that had a higher overall power level, but there's never been a dominance of results to the same extent as I've seen this. You might have the same amount of winners, where like every winner is it the same faction, but 1 through 6 is just absolutely ridiculous. And I'm not sure how much fun those mirror matches are, but Michael McCaffrey went 5-0 in them and won the event, so congrats to Michael. Spencer Mullet in 2nd place, Riley Morris in 3rd, and Alex Ramsey in 4th. 1 through 6, a single faction. Please, 2nd week of September, come here soon. We have the Dark Sphere GT in England, 32 players, won by Eldari, by Aporcio Lopez, and 2nd place Eldari with Jamie Lavender, Matthew Harris, Thousand Suns. The thing to look at with Thousand Suns, if you're just trying to figure out how to work them, that small demons detachment that lets you bring in a changeling or blue scribes or something just very cheap, very good at the mission, that's a little bit of fun. And then 4th place was Alun Perkins with Custodes. As I said, those 2 Warden bricks, flavor, Guard, and or Terminators to taste from the rest. And then only because of the third place result here, we are going to talk about the Oxford Onslaught from Drayton, England, won by, you guessed it, Eldari under Martin Cooper, and second place Thousand Suns with Tom Spicer. But in third place, the hero we need and or deserve, that line from Dark Knight always struck me as kind of awkward. But Paulie Wallace brought Drukari. Archon Lilith, 30 Kabalites, 5 Racks, 2 Raiders and a Venom. So some of those Kabalites are just walking around on foot. A Court of the Archon, 2 Cronuses, 2 5s of Mandrakes, 2 Ravagers, 15 Scourges, and a Void Raven. I went 4-1 with that army. So kudos to Paulie for being an absolute master of the game, winning with that list. And then fourth place, we had Sam Nash with Custodes. So there is, there is a pretty clear, to my mind, set of armies that can be right below Eldari in a meta that is defined by the top of it being Eldari. And it really feels, at least from this week, like it's Thousand Suns and Custodes. Recognizing that most people would say GSE from a power level are right up there. I think too many people who could play them or also can play Eldari, and it might just be the easier button to push.
It is. And also, that GSE army is really expensive to purchase.
Probably, yeah.
That's the thing about that army. And it's like it's over 100 models. And, you've got to buy 16. What is it? To have 80 neophytes, you would need 16 boxes of neophytes.
Oh, geez.
Right?
Okay.
No, that'd be 5 apiece. I just did the math wrong.
Okay. Yeah.
No, you would need 8. You would need 8 boxes of neophytes because you'd have 80 guys. Yes. Yeah, but that's what we call, that's podcast math. Podcast math doesn't ever work. But still, that's just to do your troops. Yeah. That's without acolytes, right? It's just, it adds up and it's a lot of hobby. And I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, I think I was able to buy my entire Custodes army with 8 boxes in total. And that was with some awkward unit sizes that required me to buy a box for a single model.
So I'd like to end the show with a story about Baldur's Gate 3.
Ooh!
So there will be no spoilers here, okay? Because I know Baldur's Gate 3 is extremely popular. I am a big Baldur's Gate fan. In the past, I've also played an incredible amount of D&D. I know you're surprised. You were thinking, really? Growing up, Colin was probably cool and played all of the sports and didn't do nerdy things. In fact, no. So in these games where you can basically, like Mass Effect and like Baldur's Gate and Oblivion and all those games, you can really affect your playthrough by what you do. Who do you piss off? Who do you attack? And I always worry about that because I'm a completionist at heart and I want to get all the things. This time, though, I went in acknowledging that I will never have the attention span to get all the things. And for me, it's more important that I have a fun adventure through the game. So the rule is, if I screw up in combat, I'm allowed to load. But if I screw up in conversation, I am not allowed to load. Okay. And so basically, I'm riding a roller coaster in Baldur's Gate, and I have to tell you that I'm in my 5th town, and I hope that these people get to live. Because so far, it's been the Angela Lansbury approach to D&D. That's for the olds. But basically, I showed up at the first town, and it said one group of people was being oppressed by another group of people. And I tried to stop the oppressors, and everybody got killed. And then I went to the people that were at war with the oppressors, and that thinking, oh, they'll like me. And they did, until I needed to save one of their prisoners. Then they got mad at me, so all of them had to die. So I played like 10 hours of Baldur's Gate before I got to a town where people weren't going to immediately get murdered. I've never had this experience in a Baldur's Gate game, and I thought people would be amused that Colin is trying not to murder hobo. In fact, I play in a bard so that I can be charming and interact in the conversations. And we're just murder hoboing so hard through the game that I thought people would be amused by that. So the story here is, if Colin and his friends come to your town and are asking you about who's in trouble and what's going on, just leave. Because it's not, at some point there's going to be a fight. And the people that can save and load are going to win the fight. So
I'm excited for Baldur's Gate 3 that Xbox decided the Series S does not need split screen. And so I will get to play it at some point this calendar year.
Okay, great.
Starfield is coming out next week.
Oh, yeah. I have friends that are extremely excited about that.
Yeah.
But it's only single player, so I won't be playing that because I play co-op everything.
Yeah. I will say then I need to be able to pause my games now that I have a small child around, and I'm very excited for what it could be. That said, the devs have said it is more Oblivion than Skyrim, and that is not an exciting descriptor for me personally. We'll see.
Having played both of those games, I don't know what that means, but okay. So to me, Skyrim is literally just Oblivion 2. To me personally, but whatever. All right.
Your character grew. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on This Week in 40K. I hope you enjoyed my Baldur's Gate story. And we will be back in 1 week's time. Remember that you can always find us live, 7 a.m. Pacific, every Tuesday. We haven't missed a Tuesday in a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
So come join us. Like the show, subscribe, all the things. Keep an eye out for Charity Hammer, all the stuff. Watch the preview for Nova. Just do all the things. You have to do all the things. Thank you, everybody. He's Billy, and I'm Colin, because somebody darn well has to be. And we'll be back next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.